Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to financial or accounting fraud. Now, what exactly is financial fraud? Essentially, I give you three descriptives that all kind of fit the characteristic of a fraud. It's a dishonest act that involves a financial irregularity and yields personal benefit of some type. So basically, by nature, you have to be lying. You're lying about financials, so you're misstating them from what they should be, and you're doing it in order to receive some sort of benefit. Visually, you tend to see fraud described in what you see here. This is known as a fraud triangle, and this represents the three factors that are required for a financial fraud to take place. It starts on the right with motivation. All right. Motivation is just a way of saying you have to have a reason to commit fraud. Now, often when we talk about accounting, you'll see motivation will also be replaced with something called financial pressure. And of course, that makes sense, right? If you have a financial reason to want to steal money, then that gives you motivation to steal the money. So a lot of times you'll see this called financial pressure. The reason I don't tend to use that phrase, and I tend to instead use motivation, is because it really doesn't have to be financial based for you to commit fraud. There are other motivations, such as ego, right? Maybe it's you just want to see if you can do it. Maybe it's some sort of thrill to be able to do it. Maybe it's not that you have financial pressure, but someone you care about has financial pressure. And so you're doing it out of care or loyalty for that other person, right? There's other reasons to commit fraud other than financial reasons. And so while it is typical that you will see, especially in textbooks, this piece of the fraud triangle called financial pressure, really it's motivation, and it doesn't have to be financial motivation in order to do it. All right, second up, rationalization. Rationalization is just our way of saying you have to be able to justify your actions. Fraud is, by definition, a dishonest act. And so, to the extent that a person has some sense of honesty within them, right? No matter how dishonest a person is, they'll probably have some piece of honesty within them. To the extent that you have honesty in you, you've got to be able to essentially justify to yourself why it is okay in this situation to do this dishonest thing. So you have a reason to do it. Then you've got to justify why it's okay to do it or rationalize it. So some common things you might see here is you were passed over for a promotion. And so you should have gotten the raise that goes with that promotion. And since the company didn't give it to you, you're just going to take that money yourself, right? That's justifying a reason to steal. There's other actions you could take that are not dishonest. You could choose to leave the job and go work somewhere else that will recognize your skills and your talent and give you the proper money, right? It could be something like, oh, the company was supposed to pay me XYZ for something I did, and they didn't feel the need to do that, or they didn't come through on their end of the agreement or something, right? So you're just going to take the money. You're going to create a fraud, right? Well, again, there are legal means to address that. You could take legal action against the company to get what they rightfully owe you, rather than resorting to a dishonest action, right? But again, it's rationalizing. You've got a reason to do something. Now you have to rationalize actually taking the action. Now, the third piece of the fraud triangle is called opportunity. Without opportunity, the fraud can't exist, because you need to be able to have the ability to commit the fraud For instance, if a company keeps all of its money in a super secure, heavy vault that you have no access to, no way of getting into, no way of intercepting as cash comes in or out of it, you don't have an opportunity to steal that money, right? But to the extent that you would have an opportunity to steal that money, let's say, it doesn't require you to physically get in the vault. It simply requires you to adjust some records such that money that eventually comes out of that vault and goes in the company's bank account winds up transferring to your bank account, right? Now you've got opportunity, and so that allows you to commit the fraud. So there you have it, 3 pieces of committing fraud: motivation, rationalization, opportunity. Without any of the 3, fraud won't happen. If you're not motivated to do it, you won't do it. If you can't justify doing it, you won't do it. And if you don't have the opportunity to do it, well, you can't do it. The interesting thing here is 1 and 2, those are really personal characteristics. There's not much a company can do to essentially deal with those beyond treating their employees right, and even then it may not be enough. The third one, on the other hand, that is an actual thing that companies can take away. They can safeguard their assets with something called internal controls and take away the opportunity for people to commit